When one day in 1498 Vasco da Gama dropped anchor in Mozambique, he nicknamed these shores the land of good people. The shores of Mozambique saw the Portuguese colonize this part of southern Africa, allowing them to trade with India and the Arabian Peninsula. These shores also saw the slave and ivory trades flourish and sustained fishermen for generations. But during all this time, the greatest treasure of all remained hidden. Just beneath the bow of dhows and fishing boats. A living constellation. An ecological wonder which today attracts diving enthusiasts. The land of good people is starting to bring in tourism. It's a new venture for this country, which has been cut off from the world due to 25 years of war. At the Inhambane School of Tourism, a generation of Mozambicans are preparing themselves.
Okay, so turtles, manta rays, whales, dolphins, whale sharks. These are the species which are specific to Tofu Beach.
Today's English lesson is focused on underwater wildlife.
So usually you hear shark, you think of some big fish attacking you. The whale shark is like a vegetarian, it's like your teacher. Doesn't teach anything, okay? Completely harmless. Very big mouth, but no teeth. So it cannot bite you, I promise.
Today, the students are getting ready for a trip out to sea. It will be the first of their lives.
Well then, ladies and gentlemen, the time has come for us to go to Tofu and meet the whale sharks.
The English teacher, Darren Clark, is a member of AMAR, an organisation which invites the region's inhabitants to discover the treasures of the sea. AMAR is a network of diving and tourism professionals. Christophe Chazot takes over from Darren and welcomes the students on Tofo Beach.
How are you?
Hi.
This Frenchman has set up a travel agency here, pinning all his hopes on these wondrous underwater riches.
How are you? Weather is not so good now, but we can keep here.
Today, AMAR is providing the students with what it would normally organise for tourists, a sea safari. Only a few hundred metres from the beach, just below the surface, the dark mass of a whale shark can be seen. The largest fish in the world come together in the waters off Tofo. Nobody knows exactly why, but it's a godsend for the Mozambicans. These creatures attract more and more admirers. In other countries, whale sharks are victims of their own success and are pestered by tourists. Amar is hoping this face-to-face encounter will transform these young Mozambicans into future guardians of underwater life.
How amazing! It's huge and so colourful.
It's about 10 metres long. It was on its own. It was very beautiful.
It's an experience I'll never forget. It will stay with me my whole life. It was incredible. They were so close. I wish I could have touched it.
It's wonderful to see their reactions when they see a huge fish like that. They've never seen anything like it before. And the conditions weren't great today. I really didn't think we'd get to see that. I didn't even think they'd all get in the water. But they all saw it, which was great.
With the arrival of tourism, will it be possible to preserve the country's treasures? What type of tourism will Mozambique choose to offer? Further north, towards the centre of the country, a national park could serve as an example. Gorongosa National Park is in the southern part of the Great Rift Valley, which runs part of the way down the continent. There are 4,000 square kilometres of rainforest, gorges, grasslands and floodplains, an incredible mosaic of ecosystems. The history of this park itself sums up Mozambique's riches, dramas and fortunes. In the 1960s, Gorongosa was the jewel of southern Africa. Adolfo Macadona was the son of the park's director at the time. He grew up peacefully in what seemed like an animal paradise.
I remember that before landing, the small planes which brought in the tourists would fly low over the runway to scare off the zebras, antelopes, and wildebeest that were basking there. Even before arriving at the camp, you'd already get a great experience because of the abundance of animals.
But the country was plunged into a war of independence, followed by a particularly bloody civil war. Gorongosa became a battlefield. After 25 years of violence, there were only about 100 elephants left in the park out of 2,000, and hardly any of the 500 lions, 2,000 impalas, 3,000 hippos, and 14,000 buffalo that lived there before. Called up by the army and finally discharged, the boy who grew up in Gorongosa Park returned there 28 years later.
Everything had been destroyed. You can imagine how sad that made me. Since the day I arrived back here, it's been my dream to see this park restored to its former glory.
Today, Macadona is a guide and his dream is gradually becoming a reality. The Mozambican state has signed a partnership with the Greg Carr Foundation, set up by a wealthy American philanthropist who made his fortune in Silicon Valley. It's a 20-year contract to bring the park back to life. The soldiers have become gamekeepers, and their weapons now only serve to scare off dangerous animals and poachers. Although it may still be fragile, Gorongosa Park has risen from the ashes, and the wild heart of the country is beating with renewed vigour. "250,000 people live around the park. Mozambique is one of the poorest countries in the world, and the park's aim is to improve the living standards of the surrounding communities. Poverty, malnutrition, access issues, there's no lack of urgent problems. Now, twice a week, the inhabitants of Mbulawa are visited by the park's nurse. 20% of the revenue from Gorongosa is also pumped back into the communities. Schools have been built, treatment centres have opened. In the area of so-called sustainable development surrounding the park, people are beginning to benefit from the profits of tourism. The Gorongosa brothers can indeed sing the praises of the park. Today, their appeal to protect nature has a greater chance of being heard. A temporary camp, a few tents in the wilderness of the bush. It's a long way from luxury and close to the park's natural environment. To attract more visitors, Gorongosa is opening up to private tourism. When they were travelling across Mozambique, Rob and Jocelyn Janish stopped for a night in the park and became excited by the rebuilding project. A few months later, funded by South African investors, they opened this eco-lodge and welcomed their first clients. Soon, other private lodges will open in the park, with the objective of leaving the area untouched. Rob and Jocelyn are pioneers in Gorongosa.
I think one thing that we possibly are looking to bring to the park is a minimum standard of operation. So we're not saying we're going to get it right, but we're going to try and set a baseline. And then hopefully, together with the new operators, we form an association and we continually improve those standards to the point where hopefully Gorongosa's private tourism operation, ecotourism offerings here are more responsible, they're more eco-friendly, they're more geared towards social development and enrichment of the local communities, they're more conservation-based than perhaps in other parks. And that's the exciting thing about Gorongosa, is that we can be part of a process and a story.
As part of this story, travellers don't come to Gorongosa merely to get photos of lions or leopards. They come here to participate in the incredible revival of this ecological wonder. The further north you go, the less familiar people are with the idea of tourism and the more the journey becomes an adventure. In the province of Nyasa, the few visitors there experience real remoteness. A single road leads here, then the road becomes a track. After a bumpy ride of several hours, the track comes to an end. From there, the journey continues on foot or by boat, following in the footsteps of Dr. Livingstone, who made his most difficult journey here 150 years ago. Then a boat ride along the shores of Lake Nyasa takes you even deeper into the wilderness. And suddenly, sheltered in a tiny cove, your journey's end, hidden like a secret by the vegetation. An eco-lodge so discreetly nestled into the shore that it appears to have grown out of the forest and the lake. Only travellers looking for complete immersion in the culture, like Helena and Andrea, come here. Immersion with a touch of luxury.
Right? It's really big.
Oh, look at this. It's beautiful. It would be like a king and
The trees conceal 6 rooms, all different but all built with the same principle in mind, bringing together the luxury of details and the splendour of nature.
2 to 3 minutes, leave it, then you
Okay.
get hot water. Yeah, and sink as well.
And here hot water as well.
Yeah, here hot water.
In this remote corner of the world, offering this type of welcome is a constant challenge. There's no electricity or infrastructure, and there are no shops nearby. Everything has to be made or grown on site. More than 50 people behind the scenes look after the well-being of a small handful of clients.
It's very strange because you're more or less in the middle of the African wilderness, and then you have this just world-class service, and it's a really strange feeling that you can get all of this in the middle of nowhere.
Unlike the Malawian shores of the lake that are peppered with hotels, the Mozambican side of the lake remains untouched. In setting up this lodge in 2003, its founders believed tourism could offer a way to protect the region at the same time as developing it. Managed by Malcolm Turner, the lodge works with an English foundation called Manda Wilderness. Whether it's a hotel or development aid agency is not yet clear.
So otherwise, this is good. It's good you made it all add up. It's more than Andrew.
More than any other tourism project in the country, the lodge co-manages development with the villagers. This approach has earned it several ecotourism awards.
Without the support of the communities, without the leadership of the communities, the project isn't sustainable. It will fall flat in its face. You can have a lodge here and tourists will continue to visit, but there won't be a comprehensive idea of development which makes the best use of what we think makes the best use of the land, which is providing jobs and at the same time sustaining it into the future.
Alexis Toy is responsible for relations with the 16 villages surrounding the lodge. He visits each of the communities several times a year to evaluate the projects that are in progress. Today he's visiting the village of Umbueka, 3/4 of an hour by boat from the lodge. The meeting takes place under the mango tree in the garden of the chief, Fumo Matakuano Edward Sanjo. Each year, the lodge pays out about $100,000 in salaries and goods for the villagers in the region. Also, funded partly by profits from tourism, the foundation provides half the finance for various community projects, such as bicycles, a boat, or in the case of Umbueka, the expansion of the school.
Firstly, I would like to say thank you very much for everyone coming to this meeting. It is very nice to see you. I would like to hear about what you think the plans for the future of the school should be.
If possible, we need more classes in our school. We have got 1 to 5 now, and then we need to add, if possible, if we have got enough classrooms, if we build more.
If they have 4 classrooms, is this enough to run Escola Primaria Completa?
It will be for
The Manda Wilderness Foundation doesn't just hold talks with each village, it has also created their representative bodies, including village committees and a type of regional council which oversees them all.
They learn the use of exercising their voices. So even if tourism fails, even if this idea of development fails or the communities want to try a different mode of development, by involving them in the decision-making process throughout, by ensuring that they are organized, this means that they are in a strong position to defend their social, their economic, their political rights into the future with whatever development is decided upon, with whatever investment comes into the area. And hopefully we've helped set up a platform through Emoji, through this community association, that will allow them to do that, which will allow them to defend their rights.
Thus, the 16 villages have managed to get the government in Maputo to recognise the property rights they have over their land. This is undoubtedly the first step towards it being officially recognised as a protected area. The pioneers of Lake Nyasa, like those of Tofo and Gorongosa, are opening the way. Using its natural resources, they're providing the country with the best opportunity for development. By opening up to this type of tourism, Mozambique can offer the most unique and wonderful experiences possible in southern Africa.